become such a popular arms provider?
Well, there's a number of reasons. Firstly, the Chinese equipment is cheap. Secondly, China provides not just the equipment but also a lot of the technologies to its prime customers, which are in the developing countries in Asia and Africa and some in the Middle East. And another reason is that China provides these countries with not just the equipment and not just the technologies, but it also does it on very reasonable terms. So these countries actually don't need cash. They have assets, whether that be some oil and gas or other commodities that China perhaps wants, and then China will barter with that country and exchange for the military equipment, and sometimes with loans from Chinese banks as well. So it makes it very easy for a developing country to acquire these systems and military equipment from China.
So last year we had the US and Russia blocking this treaty. This year, are there fears that China is going to be the spanner in the works?
Well, it could be so. I mean, China has a record of transferring military equipment to the likes of North Korea, Syria and Iran, and that obviously is a problem, and that obviously is what the treaty is designed to stop. China says that it doesn't, but for example, only last month, the US, the United States, put sanctions on a number of state-owned Chinese defense industry companies there that the US said was selling to the likes of North Korea, and so China may put a spanner in the works, so to speak. But I think China will say that it will go along with these the treaty, the proposed treaty, but whether it's implemented according to the rules is yet another different matter.
Yeah, that brings me on to my next question, it being an incredibly difficult business to regulate, because of course so much of it also operates in the shadows. But you've got sort of tiny arms markets in the middle of rural China. You've got individual arms dealers such as the notorious Victor Boot, who of course was found there in Bangkok. Will this treaty be able to actually do the job of regulating the trade?
Well, if I'm honest, probably not. It would be very difficult to do so, and the reason is because, for example, China does its military trade on a very government-to-government basis, and so not all its trade will be announced, and it would do government-to-government deals with the particular government, and often, nearly in all cases, these military trade that China undertakes is not in competition with other countries, and so therefore the trade is very under the table, so to speak, and it's not recorded often, and therefore, you know, it can only be found out when the arms have already been transferred or on their way, and so therefore it makes it very difficult when China is dealing with a developing country or a country that already has sanctions imposed on it, such as North Korea, because there is no way to introduce laws that will be able to trace the content and the goods that are transferred.
John Gravatt, great to speak to you. Thanks for joining us from Bangkok.